Hello, and welcome back to This Month on the Railroad, my monthly video series where I recap the month's biggest train news in North America. This episode will be looking back on June of 2024. Let's begin. On June 3rd, an unofficial Norfolk and Western Heritage unit was spotted in Georgia. This SD40-2, number 1650, is believed to have been vandalized and given Norfolk and Western lettering on its nose like it once wore back in the 80s. Similar incidents have recently occurred on CSX nearby. On June 4th, former MBTA work engine number 904 was moved from storage in Rochester, Massachusetts to the new MBTA dispatching center in Billerica. This GP18 was originally built back in 1980 for the Grand Trunk and Western, and following an engine fire in 2018, it's been in storage with an uncertain future. As I recently talked about in my Worcester Line retrospective video, 904 used to be one of, if not the most interesting locomotives on the MBTA, and it was always a treat to see. Though the MBTA's plans for it are still not completely clear, it'll likely be preserved like its sister units 902 and 905. On the same day, an official heritage unit was released by CSX, this time for the Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. Like other heritage units on CSX, ES44AC number 1875 wears modern CSX paint on its cab and retro P&LE paint on its long hood. On June 5th, after months of discourse surrounding a new congestion tax for drivers in Manhattan, New York Governor Kathy Hochul decided to indefinitely suspend the law at the last minute, canceling more than $10 billion in funding for transit projects including the 2nd Avenue subway, subway signaling upgrades, ADA accessibility, new subway cars, new commuter rail cars and locomotives, and electric buses. This is honestly a huge letdown for not only those living in New York City, but those in nearby cities considering similar policies. For more information on this topic, I highly recommend this Alan Fisher video. Less importantly, on the 5th, a Canadian National AC44 was spotted with late 1800s era logos, joining a similar wafer logo unit from last year. The next day, Philadelphia's SEPTA released another Heritage Silverliner 4 car celebrating the Pennsylvania Railroad. This joins the Reading, Conrail, and Penn Central cars, and eventually will be joined by a 5th Heritage car in the near future. 2 days later, on June 8th, Norfolk Southern unveiled a new commemorative locomotive celebrating the railroaders who keep its trains moving. It was unveiled by the CEO of NS at the Railroaders Memorial Museum in Altoona, Pennsylvania, alongside 2 recently repainted heritage units. This AC44 C6M features a unique paint job swapping the typical white for red and reading "Moving the Weight of Our World" on the side. On the same day, Amtrak released a special unit of its own celebrating the 25th anniversary of its Heartland Flyer route. P42 number 168 is expected to keep this sticker for up to a year, much as the big game train locomotives do. On the 13th, the California Air Resources Board concluded that given the current market offerings, alternative power locomotives are ready to be phased into service. This study analyzed the feasibility of many zero-emissions locomotive offerings, such as Wabtec's FlexDrive, Progress Rail's Joule, and CPKC's hydrogen locomotive platform. While not ideal compared to true electrification, these findings are a step in the right direction for the state's in-use locomotive regulation to officially be passed, phasing out diesels in the state beginning in 2035. The following day, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority announced that its new South Coast Rail extension opening would be delayed from this fall to the spring of 2025. Like many American rail projects, South Coast Rail has experienced a few project delays, but considering it's one of the biggest commuter rail expansions in recent history, this is pretty understandable. The next day, after a 4-year hiatus, World War II-era PCC trolleys returned to service in Philadelphia. Following a multi-year restoration, these iconic cars have returned to the streets on Route 15. On June 21st, the first hydrogen fuel cell Stadler FLIRT train arrived in San Bernardino, California for final delivery to Arrow. Later this year, it will enter service on this mini commuter rail between San Bernardino and Redlands. The next day, a bright yellow train was spotted leaving the Siemens Mobility factory for VIARail. This venture train is believed to be a heritage train set paying homage to the iconic Via Turbo train. Deliveries of these new Via cars are ongoing, but they are quickly taking over the corridor route and seem to be doing pretty well for the Canadian Railroad. On the 25th, Montreal's EXO placed its first CRRC bi-level car into service on the St. Jerome line. This follows a recent order cancellation from SEPTA for similar cars built by CRRC. Only time will tell if these cars do well for EXO, but judging by the experiences of similar American CRRC customers, the EXO cars could experience some problems in the near future. On the same day, CSX released its second Heritage Unit of the month, this time for the Georgia Central Railroad. On the 26th, following a week of runs on the track geometry train, the MBTA retired its final single-level cab car. While a few have already been sent out for scrap, the majority of the fleet is now stored at the layover yard in Westminster. This comes just a few years into the delivery of new Hyundai Rotem bi-level cars, which will eventually replace most single-level trailer cars too. On the 27th, the state of Maryland announced that the new Baltimore Red Line project, connecting the east parts of the city to the west, will be built as a light rail as opposed to bus rapid transit. This long-delayed project is expected to break ground in the near future and will be more expensive but faster and higher capacity than the BRT proposal. Finally, to end the month, the California High-Speed Rail Authority announced that it had completed its final environmental review for the Palmdale to Los Angeles section of the corridor, clearing the entire LA to San Francisco line for construction. While the past has been somewhat rough for California High-Speed Rail, the last year has been pretty good, with construction moving along and an initial trainset order expected soon. And with that, we're well into July. As you can see, I'm uploading this video a week late, and if you've read my community tab, you know that I was in Japan for the week, so that means some Japan content should be coming in the near future. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later this week for part 2 of ranking US commuter rails.